The citizens of Chicago have a lot to say after the city council approved an extra $70 million to care for illegal immigrants. The mayor's office says nearly 40,000 of them have arrived in that sanctuary city since August of 2022. Well, they are a sanctuary city, Chicago, so what do they expect? And tax-paying Chicagoans showed up in force ahead of the city council vote.
The city doesn't feel the same anymore.
Y'all mismanaging this, failing actually.
We need that money in my neighborhood.
$70 million. Y'all won't even put $1 million in one neighborhood.
Vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats.
As the residents of the South Side are pushed to the limits of their patience, we're going to push the issue today on Let's Go Political. What's up, guys? It's Carlton Flowers here, back with you again with the Go Political channel. So after you watch that news clip, what is going on here? We need to talk about this. So I had just sent a message to my cousin Damon, who lives in Chicago, in my place of birth. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I said, hey, cousin, what are they doing? What's up with the passing of this new $70 million? Why are they spending all this money on illegal immigrants and just turning a deaf ear to all the complaints of especially like the black community in the south side of Chicago? And all he could tell me was the only thing that we do know is that God is in control. God is in control. Okay, so anyhow, in this video, here's what I'm going to cover with you that we are going to discuss today. First of all, we'll just talk kind of in general what's going on with the migrant situation in Chicago, specifically the South Chicago area. We'll talk about this whole sanctuary city thing. And then the absurdity of bending laws for illegal immigrants. And I can say illegal immigrants because I'm not worried about getting canceled. I'm not going to say any of the fancy politically correct words. And then we'll look at some possible reasons why we're even doing this. Why we're bringing in millions and millions and millions of people who don't even get vetted and are sent all over the country. And now it's a crisis situation in many cities where even like in Denver, it's breaking the city down. And they finally said, we're done. We can't take it anymore. Go somewhere else. All right. So what is happening here? We've got Chicago that apparently is getting paid from the federal government or depending on repayments for spending all this money to house these illegals who are coming in through the southern border unchecked, and then they pack them on buses and planes and ship them all over the United States. And then Chicago says, hey, come here. We'll take, a pile of you. And then we got upwards of something 10 to 15,000 people per day that are coming into Chicago. And where do they go? So where do they go? They're taking away from the resources of the locals. That's where they're going. They're putting them in our boys and girls clubs. They're putting them in, I've heard, using old buildings, libraries, schools, taking over use of parks, putting up temporary structures in our communities. And then the rub. All right, here's the rub. Whenever some of the local communities, especially, I know about the black community, okay, but I'm sure it's the same in the Hispanic community. I've even seen videos with people in the Asian communities and just white communities predominantly that are experiencing this too. But I know in the black community, what they're saying is, why is it when we ask for money to fix the parks, add new boys and girls clubs, help us give more activities for youth to get them out of the streets and gangbanging and shooting, y'all say, well, we don't have that in the budget. But then we turn right around and spend hundreds of millions of dollars to pay for these illegal immigrants. Why is that? So that's what they're screaming in these city council meetings. And you saw that in the little brief clips. I could do more in depth if you want me to get into it, because it's really disgusting. The points that were brought up are great. And then what did the city council do? The alderman voted to throw another $70 million to pay for these illegal immigrants. Now, after watching all the hearings, I watched them all. There's this expectation that they're going to get money back from the feds. But there was one Democrat who said, I warn you to not do this. Because if Donald Trump wins the presidency, do you think we're going to get any remuneration from the Trump administration for bringing in all of these illegal immigrants? So that was a Democrat saying that he was against this. And plus, he brought up that we don't even have a balanced budget. The budget for the city of Chicago is just jacked up. Major deficit, getting deeper by the day, but then we're borrowing and we're spending, doing this deficit spending to make sure that illegals have a place to stay, food to eat, jobs to work, and pushing people out of their own resources in their own communities. All right, so what is a sanctuary city? Let's get to the next point here on the bullet list. Let's talk about this. So a sanctuary city, you'll find them all over the United States, and they promote ideals related to human rights and separation of federal and local law, okay? And community empowerment through immigrant support. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, that doesn't make any sense to me. So a sanctuary city is not a legal definition. It's just a concept that has evolved over time. I didn't know that until I got into this research. So in general, a sanctuary city is a community with a policy, written or unwritten, okay, that discourages local law enforcement from reporting the immigration status of individuals unless it involves serious crimes. How do they get away with doing that? I don't understand it. So it says these policies extend beyond cities to entire countries and states, and they often refuse to honor requests by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, the ICE agency. They refuse the information request. How do they do that and refuse to deport or turn people over to their agency? I don't understand it. So the reasons why people claim they exist is for human rights. I guess only sanctuary cities understand and respect human rights. I guess the United States as a whole can't. Then the next few reasons are very weak. One is community growth, because immigrants contribute to local economies, culture, and community vitality. That's a non-reason to me, because why aren't you doing it the legal way? Fear reduction of the immigrants and preventing family separation, that's no reason for me either, because do it the legal way. All right. So now the debate and controversy over this is because some people say, who support it, that sanctuary policies protect human rights and foster community trust, and that's of the utmost importance. And the people who are against it say that it undermines federal law, okay? And it protects immigrants who have committed crimes, and it takes away resources from tax-paying citizens. I fall in that camp. What camp do you fall in? Post it in the comments below. I digress. I want to give you a sample story. You tell me what you think of this. You tell me what you think of this. All right. But before I tell you that, let me tell you about my friend Manny. I have ADHD. I had a buddy, Manny, who lives here, Jeff City, Missouri, in the capital city. He was from Mexico. He got deported 3 or 4 years ago. He owned my favorite restaurant, Manny's Bakery. And he also owned another restaurant, second one on Missouri Boulevard. And both of them made fresh Mexican food. It was outstanding, very healthy. Oh man, it was so good. I miss it so bad. Manny got separated from his wife and his kids. His kids were going to school in Jefferson City with my kids. They know my son and daughter. So they sent him away. He had been here for 10 years, had licenses for his businesses, hardworking man, but they said he ran out of time for getting his naturalization. He got deported. Why are we deporting people who are hardworking folks that hire people for employment, but then we're going to pay people and bus you for free from Texas to Chicago and give you free room and board, or send you to New York City where Eric Adams will give you $1,000 a month on a debit card to spend on whatever you want and say it's just for food. How are we doing that? It doesn't make sense, does it? It's like mass psychosis over the United States while these people are gaslighting us and doing something in blatant disregard for law and our rights as citizens. Okay? All right? Okay, now on to the story. Listen to the story. What if you went to Disney World? How much are tickets? $120 a pop, right? You take your kids to Disney World. You've worked all year overtime to pay for these tickets. You get down there, you're in Disney World having a good time. You want to get in line for the, what's the big dome thing that goes to Space Mountain? You get in line for Space Mountain. And the last time I was there, the wait was 85 minutes. So you get in line. While you're waiting there, somebody cuts in the line ahead of you. And then someone else. And then someone else. And then someone else. And then you complain to the park employees. And they say, oh, well, we're sorry about that. Hold on a minute. Hold, please. And they walk away, and then they come back with 10 more people and say, go right here ahead of this guy. Instead of kicking them out the park, they bring more to cut the line in front of you. Now your wait goes from 85 minutes to 3 hours. And it just gets longer by the day. But you paid your $120 to get in the park. And then you find out that the people who are cutting the line, they're bringing them in a special gate that was left open where they're not paying. But they know they're coming into the gate for free and not paying for the Disney tickets. Then they're putting them in front of you in the line for Space Mountain. Now, that would cause a fight. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Does that make sense? Or what if you went to a concert? You went to see Taylor Swift. You're a Swiftie. You got front row seats. You get to the concert. The line's a mile long. You finally get into the venue. You're walking up to the front row and there's somebody in your seats. You say, get up and get out. It's my seat. Who are you? Well, we jumped the fence over here on the right side. We're staying here. So you go get security, and security says, leave them alone. And as a matter of fact, go get them something to drink and buy them a hot dog. Would that make sense? If you paid $1,000 for front row seats to see Taylor Swift and somebody was sitting there in your seat. And not only did you have to give it up, but you got to buy them a drink and a hot dog. That's kind of how this situation is to me. When you have people flooding through the border, where they even have a special app that tells you which area to go through, that they will let you through. Have you heard about that from the congressional hearings? Did you hear about the app? That's a topic for another video. I can't even get into that today. Well, I don't get it. Why are we incentivizing people to break the law and circumvent the process while enforcing it on others? Which president deported the most people? Do you know? Well, I did a little research and come to find out it was President Barack Obama. Barack Obama deported more illegal immigrants than any other president. Did you know this? I didn't know it. Didn't make much sense. But none of it does. And we also know that this crosses party lines. It's not just the Democrats. Here in Missouri, in my local town, I heard of a serious underground scheme going on where they were bringing in illegals working in a big plant in a certain town in Missouri, right? And the people who were behind it, there was a Republican judge that was getting people taken care of, and it was Republicans that were behind it because it was a manufacturing facility and they were wanting cheap labor. Dang. So what's the motivating factor behind this mass psychosis that we have going on where we're bringing millions and millions of people? There I go again. Millions of people coming in every day on a daily basis. They're just flooding in over the border with no regard to law, not a bit of regard. I think it's two things. Well, number one, the biggest one is cheap labor, because you saw what happened with Tyson Foods, laying people off to hire illegals. And you know all the big Fortune 500 companies are doing it. It's disgusting. And you also know that they're trying to get these illegal immigrants Social Security numbers so that they can vote. Why? It's because percentage-wise, the black population is shrinking. I think somebody's preparing for the next big chunk of the population that represents a big voter base. What do you think? Share your comments. Am I off my gourd? I might be, and I admit it, I'm not saying I'm the expert. Before you trolls even get started, I'm not the expert. So slow your roll and save your little grubby fingers, all you little hairy, stinky, obese, smelly people sitting in your dank, nasty little basement that have nothing better to do than to leave troll comments on YouTubers' videos. Now, 99% of you are fantastic, and I love you, the folks, you guys that are in my community. That's why I'm here. But sometimes I get a little annoyed by trolls. It works on me a little bit, so I have to troll back so I can make it through. But let me know in the comments, what do you think is behind it? What's going on in your locality where you are from? Are you seeing the same thing? And do you have a conspiracy theory? Post it now. And otherwise, I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Go Political channel. And if you would like to support the channel, you sure can do that. I just rolled out memberships where you can become a Go Political supporter for $2.99 a month, a Go Political member for $4.99 a month, or an ambassador at $24.99, all through YouTube. And this will help me to defray the costs of producing the channel and make the income I need so I can do this more and have the time to spend with you. So I thank you in advance for your support. This is Carlton, and I am out.